sebenza kanzima.
Ganja Beatz is a three-man production team. We started our own record label called Feel the Dream Entertainment. We've got a background in filmmaking, so basically when we started, we thought, okay, cool, Feel the Dream can be our record label, but also serve as a production house for sound design, TV and film, and radio. You've got Maddie over here. He is our co-producer, engineer, and beat maker. You've got Ashish, who's my middle brother, co-producer, engineer, and beat maker. And then I come in. I used to be a rapper when I first started in Ganja Beatz. I've got songs with like Double HP, Ricky Rick, Casper, Youngster CPT, but those days are far, far behind. And that's why I'm always looking out for new talent. I had to take on a bit of a different role, and we thought of this as a business from the very beginning. Like most producers would just think of creating the whole time, creating until they get really good. That is one side of it, but I had a vision and a bit of a bigger picture. So came in as all my roles now: managing director, A&R, executive producer, and a culture consultant. Ashish is my middle brother. He is 3 years younger than me. He started making beats when he was like 16 years old. I saw the talents in that. I just didn't know what to do with it. We actually come from Mafikeng. Ashish was actually in school with Casper Nyovest. So our relationship with Casper Nyovest goes back like over 25 years. I met Maddie in 2007. We went to film school together. So we were in the same class as Ricky Rick. So, I mean, two of the biggest artists that we've worked with, our relationships go, it's before music, right? I mean, over the years, what we've mainly focused on was hip hop, but I think that boxed us a lot. Our first hit is Kusheshe by Casper Nyovest. We spent about, I think from the year 2010 to 2013 working with Casper. Let me tell you guys, the struggles of working with an up-and-coming artist, I'm sure you guys know that as well. It's not easy, but we saw the potential in Casper, and we believed in him so much that we waited for those 3 years. And when Kusheshe came out in 2013, we scooped Best Song, Best Collab, and Best Music Video at the SA Hip Hop Awards. So today we're not going to really talk about how to make a beat. I think you guys can go on the internet and you'll find a million videos on how to make a beat. We're going to talk about our story and how we've basically turned being a beat maker into, okay, let's go into the boardroom and people take our opinion or value our opinion pretty highly, right? So first thing, managing director, A&R, executive producer, culture consultants. What do these words even mean? What I basically do is I spearhead artist development. I find new artists to work with. It's always younger artists, or it can also be established artists that I just keep relationships going. It could be from like 10 years ago. I go out and I look for clients, I look for brands, I go to record labels, I go to the radio stations. Basically what we've done over the years is the relationships that we've kept. So I studied at AFTA. For instance, let's say I worked with the director at AFTA. 10 years later, he is one of the best directors at an ad agency. And I just happened to hit them up and be like, hey, how you doing? This is what we're doing now. And they're like, oh no, we've seen everything you guys have done. Why don't we work together? So I do a lot of that, a lot of going out to meetings. It's not like the fun creative stuff. I manage the day-to-day operations of our recording studio. We have a recording studio in Greenside. Yeah, and I oversee the brand marketing. So with our marketing, it's like, okay, obviously Instagram, social media. We don't market fully on that to say like, oh, this is how much we charge for a beat. Those things can always be, I think, mentioned or done on the side if it's a DM or something like that. But if it's like price lists for our recording studio, with an engineer, without an engineer, just making sure that the studio is being used on a daily, so it's finding retainers, if it's voiceover artists, if it's radio, if it's a record label that doesn't have a recording studio, trying to get retainers with them so that their artists can use the studio. I serve as a culture consultant, music supervisor, and a producer as well. So I contribute to like a lot of the creative direction of projects from the start to finish. And that can be everything from the look and feel of an artist, the sound of an artist. I sit in studio, I can tell them, oh, okay, that hook is not catchy enough. Let's try and switch it up. Say something a bit, okay, stop rapping in English. What's your mother tongue? Okay, Zulu, Tswana. Use some of that in it. Like, I make sure that I can sit with an artist and really like mold them in a way. And also conducting client meetings to gather briefs, provide project updates, and ensure client satisfaction. These are just like, well, just a lot of words and stuff like that. But basically, we're a small team, it's a 3-man team. We try and wear multiple hats, and there's different roles for everyone. So these are some of the albums that we've worked on. Let's start off with Black Coffee. I don't know if you guys have heard the Music is King album. It's a summer-winning album. We produced the first song featuring Something Soweto. Casper Nyovest. For a whole entire album was actually recorded in our bedroom studio. So after Gusheshe, Mama I Made It came off the second album, Refillware. We've got Cuesta Dakar, Ricky Rick, which we did Nafukwa. Boss Sonke was recorded in our studio. We had a couple of production credits on a few other songs. Working with Nasty C, we've got Youngster CPT, who is like, I've got one of the best relationships with him. Just a guy that we also just had, we saw the potential in him, and we were like, no, we have to do a project with this guy. And we ended up doing his first collab project called The Cape and Good Dope. So one of his big songs, West Carp, comes off of that, which he still performs to like every time he's out performing. Malum Cool Cat, you've got Manu Worldstar, Boiti, Double HP, Vincent Bones. We've got some Nigerian artists called Scales and YC that we've worked with over the years. And then there's also tracks like, there's one that we did with Kyle Deutsch, who's a pop star in Durban, called Summer Love. So that was something like a brand like Corona wanted a song for their campaign. They came through to us, we put this together. It became the #1 song throughout all coastal radio stations in South Africa. A song like Night and Day, where we've got Sjava, Shoma Josie, and Lady Zamar, is like Budweiser comes to us and tells us, hey, we want to put together a campaign. Can you guys find the right artists, produce the beats, and then there'll be other campaign elements to it. For instance, with that one, it was like a Halloween campaign, and they wanted us to prank Shoma Josie, Sjava, and Lady Zaman. You guys can go on the net and you can search it. It's called the Budweiser, what is it, the Fearless campaign, South African Fearless campaign. And oh my word, like you guys, it was so fun. It was like we got to be Ashton Kutcher on Punk'd for a day and set up cameras in a studio and rehearse this thing and get these guys to actually be in their most vulnerable moment. It was ridiculous. It was so funny. And then with something like that, it's like an extra thing. They're like, can you guys perform this at an event with these artists? So yeah, we've done quite a bit of stuff like from the music side.
Calling out all content creators, from artists to podcasters to any creator who uses any form of audio. You can now upload your very own audio clip from a song to a content clip and promote your work using the MTN Callertunez platform. The cherry on top is you can use the Callertunez to make some moolah, cash, pesos by getting your fam, friends, and fans to use your Callertunez, which will mean money in your pocket. So basically, every time someone listens to your Callertunez, likes it, they simply press any key from 1 to 9 to download it as their own, and that is a win for you too. You can submit your audio through AMP's very own distribution channel with MTN by sending it to the very email below. And of course, through Callertunez, you get access to the creative world of AM Studios with access to our resources from recording studios to podcasting equipment to events, networking sessions, and all of it. Get as creative as you want with MTN Callertunez and AM Studios.
And we were very lucky to work with your Caspers, your Rickies, your youngsters, because what happens is after all these years, these songs become big, brands like them. So for instance, a Gusheshe, it's like 5 years after Gusheshe was made, Castle Light was interested in the song and had a campaign around a Gusheshe. And the simple thing was like, okay, cool, let's get the song Gusheshe on it. How do we go around that? So I'll talk about some of the brands that we've worked with. So obviously the Casper Vest brand, Castle Lights, Axe, Hypebeast, MTV Bass, Miller, Yo MTV Raps, Corona, Budweiser, Netflix. So there's all these different ways of working in the industry, right? So I know as a young producer working with young artists, they're not going to have the money right now. So we also had to find different ways of making money, because there's not just one way of making money as a producer in this industry. There's plenty ways. If you have equipment, if you have the space, you can set up a studio. Our first studio was in a bedroom. Casper's first album, Ricky's first album, comes out of a bedroom studio with a bed inside. I used to literally every day go in there, take the bed out. If my brother was sleeping in that room, take the bed out if a client was coming in, make it look, put a couch there or some chairs, get some water, some fruits, make it look like a studio. And that's the hustle. It's like sometimes it is fake it till you make it, but I literally did that so that more clients would come back in. Oh, a Reds might come back in for a voiceover. They want to do a radio ad. So that's how we sort of start from the bedroom studio. And I don't think like, you know, anyone should ever look at it like, oh, I'm in the bedroom, I need to be in a massive studio. Like, you know, you've got to work with what you have. And if you have certain type of tools, like you can make a beat off your phone right now, off an iPad. Working with the artists, we were very lucky with certain songs, which then gets licensed into these ads. And it's also like, my wife is in advertising, and you know, she'd be working at an agency, and a creative would come running down the corridor saying, "Whose song is this? We need to know the song." Like, and then my wife would just be like, "Oh, I know who made that song. Like, my husband produced that song." So it's just like, it's all these networks that you also make in all these different spaces. For instance, Ricky Rick. You know, yesterday was 2 years since he had passed. Last year, we got the chance to work on a campaign with the Ricky Rick Foundation. So even just keeping those relationships with his wife for all these years, she hit me up and was like, "Hey, I'd love for you guys to come through to this ad agency. They want to pitch something. Are you interested?" And, you know, I went through, didn't think much of it, because we were still grieving over Ricky. And when I saw what they wanted to do with the campaign, I don't know if you guys have seen the campaign, but it's called the Stronger campaign. It's a song that was fully AI, which was insane to work on. And a year later, we are Lurie award-winning producers, music producers. We won 7 Luries last year, 4 golds, 2 bronze, 1 silver. And it might not be a big thing, like it might not look like a Sama, but you know, we've been to the Samas, we've been to the Sahas. But for us, it's like in the ad world, a Lurie is up, yeah. You know, everyone's trying to get a Lurie. So, you know, we took this job on, and in the end, we were ranked the 3rd best campaign throughout Southern Africa and the Middle East. So when we started off, as I said, we were in the bedroom studio. Our next move was going to an ad agency. So we were based out of an ad agency for about 4.5 years. which actually became a lot easier for us and probably some of our best financial years, because it was literally the agency would knock on our door and give us a brief weekly. It could be anything from recording a voiceover to pitching to to a brand, or actually getting the job. And guys, like, let me tell you, from working with artists, like, and working with brands, you can make a lot of money. It just depends. Things are changing now as well. So we've also had to evolve and pivot, because now there's a lot more music libraries, right? There's so many music libraries, and a lot of brands are looking at these music libraries, and it's like a cheaper option. Or for me, in my mind, it's like I look at it like these music libraries are all generic sounds. Why don't we come in and customize something specific for your brand that reaches a South African audience? Amapiano is trendy right now. You need Amapiano in your ads. Do you know what I mean? You can't be sitting and playing a dubstep song that you got off a music library that doesn't make sense to the South African market. From the ad agency, we gained a lot of experience. It just taught me to think a bit out the box, and I wanted to create a creative hub. I probably had this idea like in 2018, and it never really came together. COVID came through. I'm sure that messed up a lot of our plans as musicians and creatives, and we had to think of new ways to make money and evolve. And this next part of our journey it's called the Clubhouse. So the Clubhouse is basically two entities, Ganja Beatz being one of them, and the other is a creative collective called the Children of Midas. Our main plan behind it was we needed to find and create a safe space for creatives. With a lot of our friends passing away, if it was not suicide, if it was accidents or something like that, we just felt like, we needed to build our own space so that we can house other creatives. The work that they've done is absolutely amazing as well. So the Children of Midas are a group of photographers, designers, illustrators, directors, cinematographers, fashion designers. Yeah, together with the Children of Midas, the Clubhouse has now gone on to produce not just stills and photos, or if it's album covers, or the first one you got there is Boiti, you've got Shishiliza, we've got Costa Titch, we've got Blackie's first album, which was all done by our in-house team. And this is also through relationships that I built with artists over the years. I've just found other creatives. Yeah, the next move has definitely been the safe space that we've built, and I encourage a lot of you guys, to come pull through as well, come see what we're about when we do have art exhibitions. So basically, we're a film studio, full film photography studio, a recording studio, and an art studio all put into one space. So we can really do a lot, from set building and working with other brands. And then we've got our art. So we actually house some really insane creatives and artists, visual creatives that paint, build sets, graph. Recently, we just had our second exhibition. We had our first one for the year in Greenside. It was called I Am Home. And that's where all of our artists get to exhibit their work. So we basically turn our entire office space into a pop-up art gallery. And what I do with that then is, like, I invite all of our brands, everyone that we've worked with, record labels, to these events, and they get to actually then see the work and see our space and chat to our creatives. Yeah, so we function like an agency, but with a bit of a difference. We aim to obviously build these long-term partnerships and relationships with not just young creatives, but also with big brands and big artists. Yeah, these are just the different, I think, ways of actually going about and making it in the industry as a music producer. And this is our story, right? There's always different ways to make money in this industry, especially once you're in culture, right? When you're in the culture, the guys that are not in the culture, they need us. They need us because we speak the language. You know, it could be something as simple as a boss zonke, just that phrase, or I don't know, like these brands and then were using that in their campaigns. But that's all comes from what we're doing, right? So don't ever forget what we're doing is super important. We are culture, and the big brands will always need us. It's just if you have a set of skills and if you have services to offer, there'll always be work, guys. There'll always be work.
Sebenza, 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 sebenza